Live.
Good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. Tonight we bring you our 48th edition of Belizean Affair. As you well know, sitting with me virtually tonight is our chairman, Mr. Roody, followed by my good cousin, Mr. Leonard Brackett. And with that said, let's go straight to our chairman for his reading.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Greg, for that warm welcome. And like you say, I go straight into it because, we try to put everything in the little time we have, right? So, as usual, we tonight I want to quote Philippians 9 to 18, chapter 1. Says, and it is my prayer that your love may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve what is excellent, and so be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ,
Mhm.
to the glory and praise of God. I want to know, I want you to know, brothers, that what has happened to me has really served to advance the gospel, so that it has become known throughout the whole imperial guard and to all the rest of my imprisonment in is for Christ. And most of the brothers, having become confident in the Lord by my imprisonment, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. Some indeed preach Christ from envy and rivalry, and others from good will. The latter do it out of love, knowing that I am put here for the defense of the gospel. The former the former proclaims Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, but thinking in to afflict me in my imprisonment. What then? Only that in early ways, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is proclaimed, and in that I rejoice. Yes, I will rejoice, for I know that through your prayers and the help of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, this will turn out for my deliverance. That's my reading from Philippians 1 9 through 18. Um, Leonard, you go ahead with the prayer, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade. Uh, it's a privilege to have this opportunity. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'm another member of the panel on the panel for this tonight's show, Belizean Affairs, show number 48, Wednesday, 4th of October, 2023. And I'd like to offer a short prayer, if you don't mind. Thank you. Divine loving Father, as we come before you once more, we pray that thou mayest accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to thee for first of all giving us life, and secondly, allowing us the opportunity to be among our family members, friends, and loved ones today. We pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people, and its leadership. Bless this country of the United States, its people, and its leadership, and the rest of humanity. especially those who have need of food, clothes, shelter, and other emergency needs. We pray that the may bless our family members, our brothers, our sisters, our uncles, aunts, cousins, our mothers and fathers, and all other extended family members, the know them by name and number. Please continue to be merciful unto us all, I pray thee, and help us as we go through this program that we may provide a positive and beneficial program to the minds of our Belizean people at home and abroad. Thank you very much, and amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Make I tell you about a old story. How me ancestors them get glory. After war and fight for this land, today I feel proud to be Belizean. And every time I walk through the streets, I feel so blessed, so good and so free. And every time my foot touch the beach, I feel so at peace, thanking God for my country. And I don't know how it make you feel when the breeze such a fracas just touches you up, but I'm kinda living in a fantasy. It's the only place that I wanna be. My Belize, my home, land by the sea, beautiful with the trees and valleys, culture rich with a one big family. All the way from the mountains to the keys, your vacation dream is home to me. Belize. Make I tell a little bit about my history. Home Belize was a British crown colony. By September 1981, we take back we country in a we hands. And every time I think about Belize, I feel so blessed, so good and so free. Place full of a diversity, we Creole got the culture asli la vie. And I don't know how it make you feel when the drums start not make you want to dig it up, but I'm kinda living in a fantasy. It's the only place that I wanna be. My Belize, my home, land by the sea, beautiful with the trees and valleys, culture rich with a one big family. All the way from the mountains to the keys, your vacation dream is home to me. Belize, my Belize, Belize.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Tonight, again, I want to give a special thank you to all our supporters, people who continue to view our program and to send us, info to comment on our programs, to see the good that we do, both at home and abroad. We have a wide range of viewers that view us, right? And very appreciative for the message we deliver, and we will continue to do that.
Mhm.
Like I've always says, we are about country and people. We are true patriot, true patriot and vanguard of Belize. And we have never been shy, afraid to speak out on issues that is directly affecting our people and nation. So, I want to bring back a sobering reminder of when this People's United Party was in opposition, right? When the now Prime Minister took to the streets with marching with the teachers and the
Mhm.
things that he has said that is wrong with the UDP government, and just let the people give him that chance to to govern, and he will change everything and make life better, beautiful for us. All the things that he was going to do, right? And they had the remedy for crime, right? And he uncock, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all the good things. This UDP government have this country, in a very bad state. Look what the price of gasoline. The man elaborate on, and when he was going to fix that problem, right? I just want to and we going back in time, and we will show to the nation after a little bit what we are talking about, that we not just to talk because we have breath, or we just want to say things just like that. No, we want to remind this People's United Party government that what they said they will do, they're not doing it, right? So most people are not happy, right? Again, he paint a beautiful picture about broads, right? And he even mentioned some of the people that are behind broads. I'm not going to get in the call the names, right? Because it should be public knowledge by now, and what he will do, right? And broads had taken advantage of the system, and he cut off that $50 million that was coming into the people's coffers, right? And he never take into consideration that man, or the take with this Bolido, and for this man, because they do right, but this man gonna sign contract, and if you the breach this man contract, what the hell you think will happen? And I want to remind the people again that that Dano Briseño will pay back Brads, Dano the PUP or the UDP will pay back Brads, Okay? Not forget where that money will come from to pay back Brads, right? So, this is the thing that we want to go back in time, and we have always talked about the lies, the outright and blatant lies that this prime minister in particular have the face to come to the nation and the world and lie. And I hope that he knows that he's lying, right? Look what he says about unemployment, right? Come on, right? These things got to stop. And I want to, through this medium, something that never had done, right? I want to give a thank you, right? And recognition. I want to give thanks and recognize all those entities, all those Belizean at home and abroad, the churches at home and abroad, and all those who want to be anonymous. I want to take the time out to recognize them for, helping out this country, right? To help out the Belizean people on a daily basis, the donations, right? Whether it's kind or monetary or equipment, especially, given to the hospital or given to schools or given to the needy, right? Given to the healthcare system, right? And people do that regularly to this country, and nobody pick them up, right? So I want to, take this time out from us Belizean Affairs. We want to say thank you, right? Because people might not know it. I say 60% of the economy on a daily basis is contributed by foreign entity and Belizeans abroad, and make this country run and make people go to bed. Some people go to bed without hunger, right? And it's real, and people now recognize that, right? So I want to give a big thank you to the entities that I just spoke about, right? And continue to support this country because we are a poor nation, and the people that who we elect to protect and serve us and to make equal distribution across the board, they are not doing it. I want to call on them to do right by country and nation. All the little donations they get, all the help they get, the grants, distribute it equally, man. Right? Not say you send it to DFC and then the small farmers and the small entrepreneurs, they could go and access this loan, which is bull crap. These money goes to these entities. Only certain people get it. It's been happening from time and memorial, and it got to stop, man. Because when we go beg Mr. Brisenio and past administration, we beg in the name of the poor people, we beg in the name of Belizeans, not in the name of a certain few or your fanatics or people that only support you, the big names them. No, these things got to stop, and you're going to come on national TV and say that, they help these people, right? These small farmers and these small entrepreneurs, right? They help them access to services, help them access to loans, which is bullcrap, right? These things got to stop. I know people who trying to get at least $5,000 from DSC for years, right? And do not get it. So why lie? And these money that will get come all in the name of for these people, right? So man, these things really need to be called out, right? And continue to call out, right? Because the black population in this country and the entrepreneurs are being disenfranchised, right? That need to stop. People come from all over the other part of the world, and they get genuine access. They get access to everything in this country where the ban poor Belizean no the smell. Right? Got to stop, man. We have to stop the giveaway with assets, with patrimony for a few dollars, for greed, power. Need to stop that. Right? People are getting fed up, sick and tired of that. So I call on other entities to call out these ills, man. Because how you want a nation to move forward when you are keeping down certain class of people? Then you wonder, you come to the nation and you wonder about crime, right? Why people they kill up each other while they involve in illegal activities, right? Create some employment. That's what you need to do. Don't say the BPOs are separate entity. They create no employment. It's the BPOs are creating employment, right? And now you want to take the good name, right? But people catch on to that. Government need to do its job, right? I mean, cry that you not got no money. I understand that don't buy electric vehicles. Tell on yourself. You come to the nation, Mr. Brisenio, and you said, to spend no more money or the taxpayers' money on buying vehicles for Galavan and freebies about the place, right? Which you lied, right? Electric vehicles are not cheap. They are very expensive, right? So all we are trying to do tonight is continue to call out your blatant lies, you and your People's United Party government, and don't let us not forget the past government, what they did to this country, right? They didn't left us in a good position across the board, right? So if the UDP was in power sitting down, I'd have been saying the same thing directly directed to the UDP government, right? But you are the man that the people, you and your party are the ones that the people entrusted power in, right? So we are going to call out the ills, man. The other day I watched, I got to talk these things because it's real. A group of fishermen was caught with illegal conchs, right? These people, I agree, if you break the law, there should be a penalty, right? I'm not condoning any legal activities, but man, I'm just trying to compare. There was a lady that was caught up there, Mr. Briceño, with a trailer full of contraband florists in the north. And you threatened, even had a dismiss a public officer for trying to do the right thing, right? And did that lady got charged? No. These poor fishermen, they were charged in the sum of $58,000 between all 12 of them. They were arrested, charged, and fined. You have ministers. Look at Novella, 30 million of taxpayers' money. Where are these people? Look at the deceased D.H. Courtney, what he took from Social Security. Did he pay it back? No, not $58,000 or so much. No, $3.5 million. These poor fishermen have been sanctioned.
And he was ordered to pay it back.
Ordered to pay, and
so his son should go ahead and pay it. His son making tens of millions of dollars.
And not to mention that these people are only doing it in the name of making a daily living and feeding their family, right? That is all. All I'm trying to say is, man, where is equal justice in this country, man? Like I've always said, you know, there are two sets of laws here in this country, one for the rich and one for the poor, right? I've always said, and that got to stop, because the Constitution does not says that, right? While you are the gross violators of the people's Constitution, right? Gross violators. But anyway, I could go on, but Greg, you know, let's hear on the either the Bolido situation or when the Prime Minister was marching with the teachers and all the good things he said he was going to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But there are three sets of law when it comes to the Belizean fishermen and the Guatemaltecan fishermen. They can do it legally under conference building measure. With that said, let me go to the first clip.
If we do something, we have to do it well. We can't just do it for doing its sake. The cancelling of the Bolido contract from the previous managers was not done just out of malice. It was done simply because they were not following the agreement that they signed on to. But now that we have decided that the government is going to own it, we are putting the proper infrastructure and wanting to ensure that we'll be able to get a fair share. I could assure you that despite these 5 years and 5 months that they've not been working, once we start to change, hopefully in the next few weeks we'll be able to launch the Bolido. I believe that because of the new structure we're going to put, we will be earning more than what we were earning before with the other company that was managing it.
Now you listen to that guy.
Mr. Chairman, that was the first clip. With that said, without wasting any time, let me go to the second clip, and then we can have this open discussion.
People have to put gas in their car. They're over that $10 mark. When you were in opposition, you had a lot to say about how government can help to alleviate this financial pain.
I could remind you. I can tell you right now that we said that we want to, for instance, to keep diesel at not over $9 per gallon. And we do want to do that. But at this point, we are facing a financial crisis in government. And we, unfortunately, have to be able to be in our proposal to the IMF. We said that we will continue to try to keep the same amount of taxes that we collect from the sale of fuel. As much as we dislike doing that, As much as we, for instance, as much as we hate talking to our public service and to our teachers about a wage freeze and salary cut. But these are things that we have to do right now to be able to cover that $500 million deficit. Once we get through with this hopefully in the next year or two, then we'll be able to look and we get the economy going and collecting taxes and collecting the taxes more efficiently. We're working right now with customs, with the Belize tax service, so that we can collect what we're supposed to be collecting there or there. Then we can then start to ease and looking at the fuel and making sure that we can start to reduce the price of fuel.
Mr. Chairman, I can personally say this to the Belizean public at home and abroad. What the Prime Minister is saying is BS to the people at home and abroad. And I will prove it tonight. But before I do that, let me go to my good cousin for his terminology and that.
Thank you, Greg. With the chairman's acquiescence, I'll take a little stab. I won't use a big knife. I'll use a smally knife and save the big knife for the last part of the show. I'll use a smally knife right now, just on the scalpel. I'll cut off part of the top of your head and see if I could implant some kind of ethics, morals, and constitutional enhancement, because this gentleman has no regards or respect for himself, much less our constitution or anyone else of us. That is obvious from the time he first got into office on this second round. Because like you mentioned earlier, when he was campaigning as an opposition, he was crying to us, the public, to the teachers for their support, to everybody that would listen. Give him a chance. Give him a chance. The UDP is not doing good by the country, and he's going to come in and do what he can to help the country move forward, because he has the answers to almost everything. He has the answer to gas, because he owns some gas stations. And every time he raises the price for gas, he can blame it on foreign or overseas influence, but it doesn't stop his company from taking in the extra money, or he doesn't give back any of it in charity or in any other way, or he doesn't reduce the price of his gas. Every time the gas goes up, he takes in more profit. Every time the gas goes down, he loses money. So he's not interested in losing any money. So his interest is not so much to lose money as much as to make money for himself and for the government, because of his agreement with the IMF and the IMF recommendations, to which he just spoke just now. And he said he is saying that the IMF is telling him that he needs to continue collecting taxes so he can meet that threshold of the 500 million deficit. He didn't have to have a deficit if he was running the country on our behalf rather than on behalf of himself and his cronies. And even if he had a deficit and he was running the country on our behalf, then by virtue of having that deficit, the public should be having more benefits too. But we are not getting the benefits, but we have to pay for the deficit. And when I say we, I mean people in the States who are helping their family at home, people at home who are working and paying their taxes, people who go buy the food and paying the GST. All those people are paying taxes. The fact that some people don't have a job doesn't mean that they're not spending money to stay alive, whether the money comes from their family or friends or from whatever personal gig they could run, to hustle only money to make one living or survive. So this gentleman, when he's talking about the price of gas, fuel, for example, when he mentioned about diesel, he wants to keep it under $9, but there's always a but. Every scoundrels carry butts in all their pocket, and back pocket, and front pocket, side pocket, and even in their fabs, they carry butts. And they carry another butt in their pants. So they carry all kind of boats all over the place, and there's always a boat that they could pull out when wanting to justify their nefariousness or illegal behavior or criminality. They hide behind the boats. The problem is that this gentleman apparently lies for a living. As we said, before he got into office, he was making all the promises about what he was going to do. And when we entrusted our powers to him, the first thing he did was went and sit down with our mortal enemy, go drink cocktails in Guatemala. He and his wife and their entourage went over there. He never gone to Mexico, which he should have probably done, or to the United States, or to Cuba as a benefactor to Belize, or to Venezuela, who were giving us all those hundreds of millions of dollars to supplement our budget, or to Taiwan. He went straight to our mortal enemy, Guatemala, to have a meeting with the president of Guatemala within a few days of being elected. He never told us that he was going to be doing that. Otherwise, maybe he asked him and get elected. He never told us that he was going to tamper with the Constitution to try and abrogate the very Constitution that he went and swear to in order to get the powers assented to him after we gave him the vote of confidence. He never told us that he was going to go ahead and fire the teachers them, or if he don't fire them, that he was going to take away money from them, because the teachers are the only ones that have been getting their salary all the time and have not been contributing. I don't know that he ever was a teacher to understand what the teaching professional was all about, and that those teachers are spending as part of their salary to help other poor people, poor kids who are in class, when they see the struggle and they know that their parents can't help them, and they want to help the kids then, make the kids then survive. And the school don't provide all the textbooks them, or the exercise books, or the pencils, or the Crayolas, or the whatever the teachers they need for their classroom. And some teachers go out and buy it out in their own pocket. When he take back the 10%, the teacher couldn't do that anymore because they had a family and friends, extended family members that they were still helping. So the man lie for a living. Almost everything from the time he got into office that he has said on the TV, every time I try to get him to say something, the man lie. And apparently, in his mind, he's telling the truth, when all of us out here know that the man is not telling the truth. He said we have 5% unemployment.
No, it's 3 point something.
And then they got down to 2.5%.
Something like that, yeah.
How can we have that amount of unemployment when he bring in 20% of the population in the country to come and squat on the lands then? And we don't have no jobs. The kids then when they come out of high school and middle school and colleges and University of Belize and other places, there's not enough jobs. Government can't hire them, and the private sector is not vibrant enough to be able to hire all of them. And the least the man could do that, tell the truth, so at least we all could say, well, the man will tell us the truth, and we have confidence in the man, and we have to suffer this kind of, go through that kind of suffering, because at least Mr. Barrow told us the truth. As malignant as his administration was towards our country, in terms of where he left us by the time he departed. But at least he told us the truth. This one not him to tell us the truth. He got worse. He lied away, and he hustled for we dime. Because he never tell us that he was going to push Puerto Rico down with throat, despite the fact that he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And even his own cabinet members rebelled against him, like he and the other G7 them rebelled against Mr. Musa. He never told us he was going to do that. He never told us that he was going to leave Mr. Ashcroft with we port. That money from the port supposed to be going for we treasury to make we get to pay a bill, so that he don't have to talk craziness about IMF to tell him about he have to keep the gas price high because of IMF. If he was a good manager, he wouldn't be telling us those kind of craziness to our face, barefacedly. They lie to us and they blame somebody else for his own shortcoming. He got into the Congress and tear up the political so-called agreement and pretending that it was over with. And within a few days' time now, they come back to tell us that, oh, they make he got agreement to these people to make them continue doing the port. As a matter of fact, from the time the people found violating the laws until today, they still work without permission and permit. Then they work on the basis of his agreement to them that he have the powers of governance, and unless he tell them to stop, they don't need to stop. So then they violate free laws and do all kind of shenanigans against us because he have free laws in a free back pocket. They never tell us that they may pass no SOE to sanction against one section of the population. They say they have built so much houses. Where the houses in there? And who to get the houses them? The houses them where they build is based on the refugee where in the beginning of the country for who they are getting money to build houses for. But for we local Belizean people, now they get money in a house there. Then they fed off of their one camp. Just a minute, let me even bring in Sharon. I don't know if she was there for a long while, but she's.
I just came through the door.
Okay. No, I thought you was there for a while I was running off and wasn't paying attention. No?
Good night, Sharon.
Sharon.
I want to welcome you. Thanks for, for being here. Thank you.
Yes,
always a pleasure to have you in our company.
Yes.
So,
as a matter of fact, Mr. Chairman, I'll just stop my rant for right now and save any part of it for later on because, like I say, I just want to bring out the new small scalpel right now.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Save my big knife for later on in the show.
Thank you, Leonard. I'm just feeling, Sharon. Miss Spitz, we were talking about the, lately we've seen a lot of people clamoring and talking about the Bolido now when they come back, especially poor people, and Panelists Bolido. So
that's an interesting topic.
Yes. So we were just talking about it, and that what the Prime Minister said he was going to do, and what he did with Brads, and take into consideration that he breached the contract, and who is going to pay Brads, for breaching that contract. So I said it's not for sure not Brazilian going to pay him, nor the taxpayers, I mean, nor the PUP party.
Right.
If the taxpayers is going to pay him, for the Prime Minister to breach his contract, no, and then all the good things he said he was going to do with the revenue from the Bolido, no, and nothing happened yet, right? So I would like to hear your input, your take on that, if you could shed a little input on that, what you think about it, no? Because it's going for 5 months now, and every time you come and say, oh yeah, well, they work out the deal, and they work out for the machine, and they work out for this, and in the meantime, people get tired. We know they hear you, though. We know they hear you.
Yeah, Sharon? We're not hearing you. Plug in. You got to plug in. Plug in your earpiece. We're not hearing you. Sharon, we're not hearing you.
We're not hearing you, Miss Spitz.
Oh, okay. You're hearing me.
Now we hear you.
The mic was muted. Sorry about that.
Yes,
What I wanted to say, good night, everybody. I just put in.
Good night,
from standpoint of a culture and tradition, I would want to say that the playing of Bolido is something that people carry their little contracts, they plan. Sometimes when they WAPI play or they contract play, it means that it's something that they can then use as a little nest egg.
Exactly.
If they want to take a holiday, if they want to use it for back to school, if they just want to say, you know what, in the good old days are going to buy so much yards of cloth and get 2 dress make or get 2 pants sew, new shoes, and some more serious things, medical expenses, people we had that informal banking, the syndicate as well, or
Right.
no?
Right.
Which comes from an African tradition, I'm told too. So you have these informal ways that people use to save money, and apart from it's like a Gumbai Day money, I think they call it. After Christmas, for example, people have that dry season, no Marga season, right?
Season.
You have the August weather, the 2 weeks of Marga season, right? The weather extreme drought. Well, a drought in the pocket comes after the spending spree of Christmas. Part of our culture, we not spring clean, we not change house wrong all year, no. But that's a time when people live and let live, and they really celebrate, right? Now, a lot of culture the wrong some that superstition, but like, remember hearing of a ducky skeleton, right? Or a skeleton, and you dream about this number plate, you dream about your foot, or a pigeon drop something in the air from you.
The dream book.
From number plate, the dream book, and Sally, and so other one, King Tut. I know it's a superstition, but the culture of it, you have to recognize. Yes. And then the number no play, and suck their teeth. The best time people got raked after the number play, I should have buy this or I never buy this. One of my friends said, he come to ride the bicycle down Big Bridge one time and he tumbled down a pile up, and the man said, somebody come and say, Mr. B. He said, and instead of ask if he get hurt or if he go, help and get up, he said, how old are you? It happened to me about 2 years ago. One of my children's dog ran away while he small dog. So I went around the corner and I was gauging this dog, and at some point I said, okay, I got her. Then out of idleness, this dog decide I decide faint the dog and chase behind him. Well, I never know to run around corner like he, and he closer to the ground, right? So I slide down with the help of some loose stone. And a man about 100 feet down the street, I didn't even know he was watching me in a pickup truck. And he think me spits, I say you tumble down, I say you pile up. Then I noticed the Bolito shop there close by. So I said to myself, a rake in the pan. But on a serious note, people say there was a way that monies were pooled. And a part of it was so that at the shops where people sold and bought Bolito, there's a little congregation of people, and there's an engagement. Apart from calling, if it says somebody dead and somebody sick and somebody lose their job or somebody they graduate, somebody they married, it was one of the things that our people converse and chook mouth about. And it's fun. Then you have Whoppy, when the number play one second time. Look when 2022 play. I don't buy Bolito much, but that morning it occurred to me. Nearly feel like call somebody if it's by 2022. I said, sure, man, they not play that. Well, should have hear the who's and the ahs and people guessing as to who. And some of them, they boast that them broke China get banked. By China, we mean the Asian vendors, right? So apparently the Brad's boast was that even that time, not one person was left unpaid. So there was that upon dependability. Now, in my view, I had a thing against casinos coming in because I think that's a big social ill. And I feel like the simple Bolito was already a part of our society and people could pace themselves with that. I have a problem against online gambling too, because I think it will be highly addictive. And in this era where you have what you call electronic means for people to pay and so on, I think it's something where people could be like undercover addicts where nobody know what's happening, and they could be a lot of people could be going there, no? Yes, and cheated, because and then
they don't have no way of knowing that they are being cheated.
Right. That's another aspect. It could be 24/7, but with Bolito, remember, it used to be played at the public buildings and it would be announced. And there was a time 9 o'clock at night during the week, everybody there together, some suck their teeth on a holiday and no Bolido. And then the Sunday, and quite a few of the churches against Bolido, but the members still follow the culture apparently, no?
Could I weigh in a little bit on the Bolido thing before you finish?
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind, Mr. Wade.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Leonard.
On the Bolido thing, as far as I'm concerned, I want to go back to what the government is doing wrong. It's nice that at least we're hearing about the culture and all that has been happening before and how people depend on it and people look forward for it. People are clamoring right now that they're not getting them Bolido. But my problem with the government is that the government is willing to stiff Brad, take money from we government coffers, to go pay Brad's one settlement. They're having, as the Prime Minister says, in his word, he's saying that it wasn't out of spite. What was it out of then? Out of we packet.
Well, you know what? The effect and impact of that is that if you breach a valid contract, is it opportunistic? Is it that, it's in order to give somebody else, right? Because in my understanding, Bolido has always been taxed. The government will always say, well, it will go to sports, it will go to education. They will always make it sound commendable as to some part of the revenue it will go to. And I think Bolido came in after the Panama lottery and other things when people were playing illegal numbers or playing the numbers from cross boundary, right? And you had certain contractors or Bolido vendors who would collect
I was trying to get to a point just now, I don't know, when I started, I was trying to get to a point. I was just trying to set the stage for the point. And that is that the Prime Minister, in his one word, is saying they didn't do it out of spite or malice towards Brads. They did it out of greed and avarice in terms of trying to capture a ready-made industry where easy money was available. But they want to capture that money for them or their friends, we are giving them a kickback. But it's not being captured for the benefit of the government. In other words, they know to take it from Brads to keep it for the government, to make the money where they say that you need, instead of keeping the gas price high. Because that would be a good way to do it. Take back some of the things that we want to give to private individuals and make the government making money to help pay with bills. But that's not the point. The point is that he is willing to destroy Brad's. At least over the last 3 months, there has not been no Bolido. And he is willing to, and we're hearing that the Bolido was a $50 million turning of the industry within the economy of the country, a turn of the economy, 50 million contribution back and forward with all the transactions. The government is moving all mountains, hills, and valleys and seabed. Right now, we try and implement the dead horse, as Mr. Bisenyo had called it, and the other ministers, they call it a dead horse, Mr. Minister of Education. Why are you guys trying to continue flagging a dead horse? Because as I told them in the previous program, the dead horse was not dead.
What do they call dead horse? The Bolido?
Agreement. No, the Portico Agreement.
They
try bring the Portico Agreement into existence for $6 million with all the Sharon and all the controversy over it and all the expenses and all the money where foreigners are make with the government now make none because the government they give them free tax, they give them free land purchase, they don't have to pay no stamp duty, they don't have, and they are generate their own banking system and they control their own money.
And
then
Mr. Brackett, respectfully, these things are never free. They cost the people and the country.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Money, your revenue, your dignity, the ability to participate. Let me ask you this: if it was that a 50 million,
your point is well taken, but
income like Bolido, if they were using it, that government would run it and then get all the profits, right?
Okay.
But it's not like then allow somebody else to dead raise fund that, and then if you have anybody coming in to invest and they're taking your prime resources, that's a dead raise, you know. I will say
my
something
point,
else.
wait, Sharon. My point was that
Mhm.
the government have a BRADS and they want to destroy the BRADS $50 million contribution to the we economy in order for them to get a few $1 million if then kick back out of the political thing where I belong to some other foreigners who want to make all the money. They are suborn for we governments and country only for $6 million. Compare $6 million to $50 million. Isn't that an easy arithmetic for any school kid? Realize that $50 million is a lot more than $6 million. So if you could get $50 million contribution to your economy out of BRADS and $6 million contribution out of Portico, and we still have to give back Portico roads and all kind of other expenses out of we pocket. Why is the government suborning for we government powers to an entity, a dead raised entity as Portico? That is my concern. And that
Mr.
is my
Chairman, Mr.
Let's
Chairman, I'm smiling, you know.
make Sharon finish up. Make Sharon finish up because
I'm smiling
yes,
on this
yeah, come to you
conversation.
right now, Greg. I know you. Hold on, Greg. Make
No,
Sharon
I'm
finish.
smiling on this
You
conversation.
see, the gamble that is a Bolido gamble, the people already are tuned to that. That is manageable. That's within the scope. That is mainstream. They can see it. It's public. The risk is there. The risk limited. When you're talking about your patrimony or natural resources, right? And people are missing this, you know. But when you allow a company or even a local individual to reclaim land in front of other people, you know, really and truly, people can sue. You have a cause of action if somebody blocks your air, your light, your traditional light, and so on. If somebody comes after the fact, our people don't tend to deal with that. So I know one area, one big billboard in front of an Asian shop, a big advertisement, and it's blocking to me the breeze and the view of, or maybe they see that they shield them. But to stick to the point, right? When you reclaim from out of the seabed and you put a development, that is not an addition to Belize, that's a derogation from your patrimony and your dignity. You're affecting the crown right of way. Remember in the past I mentioned that? You're affecting the constitutional freedom of movement for everybody to move to and fro that. And the excuse is usually, oh, jobs, development, tourism. Now in green economics and environmental GDP, green accounts, that is where we would say that the costs are externalized. So the true cost of that development, the real cost are the cost to the people and country of Belize. So it's a non-starter. That is bad economics. And whether it's Portico or whoever else, that is bad economics. What is happening is that this tourism albatross, because that's what it is now, people are being made to sacrifice over and over and over for tourism. But nobody they ask where the real benefits go or the income stream goes. And it's like your port, your seaport, your land port, your airport, and then you have, that is your entrepot as well. That is your coastline, right? You sacrifice, you have acute derogation in terms of the cost of the environment, but even immediately. The only thing I could have seen that would have made any sense right off would have been a boardwalk, a benign boardwalk out of wood with some mangrove landscape in front of that. The sea sand could go, the sea salt could come through, it could percolate, the lee crab, the lee fish, then the other species and your what you call the thing? What the other one name?
That is a Manatee special reserve.
Yes.
That
Belize has
is a Manatee special reserve.
Belize's population one time of the endangered West Indian manatees was 900, right? I remember one time in Mayflower Gardens, just where New Broad is, about 15 years ago, I went up there and there was a family of manatees, and I called one of the environmental agencies with an alphabet name from abroad, and I reported, and the person's response was, Do you see if they're endangered? Do you know if they're spawning? Do you know if they're mating? No, I don't know. I called you the expert. Well, of course, that went that way until the next week when there was a big newspaper report because a boat propeller damaged one. So you have these, reactions because they are so precious, right? And the manatees, then the other thing, the sea turtles.
Mr. Chairman.
If anybody go and see how a sea turtle nest and lay eggs,
Sharon,
they track those things. Awesome. You have to believe in a God when you see those things.
Just a minute. We're running close to 6 over time. And Greg, may they ask permission for coming just now?
Okay, yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Greg. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Before we change the topic or the topic
okay.
kind of.
Go ahead, Greg, and let me get your input there, Greg.
I was sitting down smiling because everyone sitting tonight with me virtually is right on the money. You guys are speaking about subjects that I have brought up and I have proven all along. And I have said it, I will say it again tonight. The present government cannot deal with external policy or internal policy. And I will prove them to you. The external policies that the government is dealing with is all foreign investors. The internal policies, which should be not discriminative against the Belizean people, that is what is happening. And I can prove it to you. The stevedores who are fighting a fight for so long, then now we go to the IT vet. The Prime Minister wants the IT vet to teach about transparent BPO to get people ready to work there. Now imagine, the Minister of Education.
Sorry, Mr. Greg. I will have to at some point talk about these call centers, no? And a culture which is anathema to our people. But go ahead, please, maybe another time.
Now imagine the Minister of Education is preaching about kids out of school that is causing problems. You go to school, your mother gets grants, loans, only to find that when you graduate, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We are losing to IT vet. Imagine somewhere where people could have taken a trade and get into the Job Corps. Now we are hearing the Prime Minister said they need to add on so they can train people for the BPOs. Now, everything that I have said, I will prove it tonight. Even from Brad's Bolido, I mentioned how and why would the Prime Minister wants to make agreement with a parent entity that would destroy our coastline and the habitat of the manatees when they took over the Brad's Gaming Company, which will give them $50 million a year in comparison to the $6 million from the deal from Portico, right? Here we go. And I will say this tonight, especially to you all, my virtual hosts, and the Belizean people at home and abroad, I will prove the discrimination by this Prime Minister and the government, and I will prove also how the Prime Minister talks in tongues and he cannot be trusted. All right? To do that, let me go to a video clip to show you where their interest is. Let me go to a video clip.
Belize, I believe, is one of the last non-discovered amazing places of the world. It's a point of reflection that the reef that Belize has, you need to travel 20 hours from our hemisphere to find another place like this. So to reveal that we have in the Western Hemisphere, 2-3 hours away from the US, this beautiful place, we have a great site, a great country, a great brand, and assure us that we are doing a great decision bringing this new experience and destination to all the world.
When I first heard about the project here on Kichapu after I was elected, I took it upon myself to come and visit to see what's going on. And I was immediately sold. To have the Four Seasons in Belize, it is taking us to a different level, and opens up the tourism market to a different sector, and so it is exciting. And I felt that as a government, we need to do everything possible to support them so that this project can be a success.
We are maintaining some untouched areas, but we will develop a Four Seasons with 104 guest rooms, plus another 48 branded resi, together with a golf course designed by Greg Norman, and a total of 85 estate homes that will be the community of Kichapu.
When I was talking to Diego and to Jorge, they're telling us, listen, we are not in a business for doing for tour operators. We're not in the boat business or the snorkeling business or any of that business. So we are going to work with Belizeans to provide these other services for tourists. So a lot of Belizeans would be able to take advantage of that. And these are high-end tourists, so they pay good and they tip good. So it's exciting.
So, Mr. Chairman, with that video that I had just played, remember what I said? They are bad at external policy, except for foreign investors. I'll prove it tonight.
BPO industry has exploded in Belize, with a continuous intake of call center agents over the years, particularly at Transparent BPO. This led the company to commence construction of a second building at their Philip Goldson Highway campus just 18 months ago. And last Friday, the new office building, named Seaside 2, was officially inaugurated in the presence of the Prime Minister.
And I came here to look at the work that they've been doing, and also that we've been trying to find ways on how we can support the BPO industry. What Transparent BPO has done is quite impressive. When you look at the facilities, they're modern, they are comfortable, they use the latest technology for their employees, and provide a lot of support for them. So I think it's something that is a good example of what a BPO is supposed to represent here in Belize.
14 years ago, when the company first came to Belize, they began with only 30 employees. Now they're on their way to 2,000. Senior VP Rob Johnson told us how fulfilling it has been to witness the transformation of the BPO sector across Belize. From a small office space to an upscale competitive environment, and they aren't slowing down anytime soon in their progression.
So we're celebrating the opening of our second building at Seaside, so we call it Seaside 2. And this brings us all together in Belize City on one campus. It gives us two buildings, one that we opened in July of 2019. Then the next building that we just really started occupying about a month ago will give us room to bring all of our employees in the city together. We have room for about 1,000 agents just on one shift, and altogether that could be as many as 1,700 employees.
I understand that October 1st, you guys complete 14 years since you've come to Belize. How does it make you feel to see how much the BPO has transformed and grown over the past couple of years?
Oh, it makes us super proud, and especially for me, because this is my home, right? That we can provide jobs for Belizeans. We have over 1,500 employees today, and we hope to keep growing. But also, we feel like we've raised the bar for BPOs in general for Belize, and so other people are following suit, and that's a good thing for our country.
Now, with GOB leading the charge, Johnson hopes that prerequisite programs and courses can be implemented at the technical and vocational schools for students who aspire to come and work for them in the tech support field upon graduating. The Prime Minister says the IT vet curriculum has to be retooled to keep up with this industry.
Unfortunately, over the years, I don't think it got the necessary attention as to what exactly they're expected to do. I believe, though, that with the BPO industry that has exploded, the last number I saw, we have about 30,800 Belizeans working in our BPOs, and salaries range from starting at $5 to as much as $8, $9, $10 an hour. So that it is becoming a good paying job. And so I think that by using the IT vets, we have already made that investment. We could partner with the BPOs to see what kind of training is required for an entry-level employee. So if we could provide that kind of training through the IT vets, it would make it easier for one of our young students who after graduation can come and start to almost work immediately in a BPO. So we need to find the synergies.
Jo Marie Lanza, 7 News.
Now, Mr. Chairman, and people at home and abroad, you heard it for yourself. Our present Prime Minister is catering to foreign companies. He is even willing to go and make the IT vet that is supposed to be a place for students to learn trade and get into the job fair to cater to who? The BPOs. You have never heard the Prime Minister trying to back any entity that has to do with our locals. And I've said it before, I can go on. It's a discriminative government. They are not backing the stevedores who has applied, cannot get their money. None at all. He is strictly with tourism and industries that past and present government has created no jobs. And now I will prove to you guys, my virtual host, and the people at home and abroad, what is really happening in Belize. And when I'm finished, I want to hear from you guys. Let me go directly to this clip.
Well, the particular legislation, well, presently, I think they're still working on it and to see what can be done to be able to present to cabinet.
What's being done is this draft, still in the strikeout stage, but it shows the major thrust of the proposed legislation. The Belize Cruise Ship Docking Facility and Tourism Village Development Bill is created to provide for the development of a cruise port docking facility and tourism village, and to provide for certain exemptions and benefits and for the levy of a cruise ship facility fee, normally what you'd call a head tax. The bill provides for a fiscal incentives order, which entitles the developer to large tax exemptions. But not any developer, one who meets the investment requirements, quote, of not less than $250 million, we assume US dollars. And how many proposed ports fit into that category? Presently, only one, Portico, whose investors say they propose to invest $350 million US dollars. And to get this precious fiscal incentives order, the developer must apply to the executive director of Beltrade, who will, if the project meets the requirements, submit a recommendation to the minister, who would then issue that fiscal incentives order. The order exempts the developer, its funders, and contractors from any taxes, duties, or imposts, and from what might be called future shocks. The most interesting clause is one that seeks to insulate the developer from what a future government, say one led by Sharon Barrow, might do. It says, where tax laws may be amended and or enacted from time to time that contain any provisions, the implementation of which would directly, adversely affect the project's economic benefits under this act, the minister will ensure that the amended and or enacted tax laws shall not apply and have no force or effect with respect to the project, retroactive to the date of such amended or enacted tax law. It's basically an immunity from the democratic process, guaranteeing the developer that a future government won't move the goalposts as Sharon Barrow has threatened explicitly to do. As regards the head tax, the agreement refers to a facility fee of not less than $7, which will be shared between the developer and the government of Belize, with $2 going to the developer and the remaining $5 going to the government to be distributed among various funds and departments. The developers laud this proportional breakdown as a boon for Belize because they say they will receive 1.2 million guests per year and say that the amount then remitted to government will be $6 million annually.
No, Mr. Chairman and my virtual host, we spoke about Brad's Bolido, right? We spoke, I'm talking about what is happening to the stevedores. What will happen to ITVET? He said it was not malice that he took away the Bolido contract. I always say these people tell and what?
Themselves.
Themselves. Listen to it from his own mouth. I want the Belizean people at home and abroad to recognize who we're dealing with.
Certainly, I believe that the Bolido slash lottery was a sweetheart deal. And everybody could have predicted who would have gotten that contract in 2020. And as we've been going through that agreement, we've noticed that the government and the people of Belize are foregoing millions of dollars in taxes. And it is not right for a small group of people to be able to get away with that. We're estimating at the 12.5% tax, which is what everybody is paying. We would be able to collect an additional $6 million. In 10 years, we gave up $60 million to Brads and to other people that are closely connected to the former Prime Minister. Your question, why is it that the former Prime Minister is defending this case, and why is it that his son, Anwar Barrow, is paying so much attention to this case that he logged on to the first hearing of that case? So we know that we're doing the right thing. We believe that everybody should pay some of their taxes, because with the taxes we help our young people, education, health, fighting COVID, investing in Belize. So we believe we're convinced that we're doing the right thing.
Fire.
There you go. Telling and himself. The man
Without
is
malice.
actually saying.
He's telling on himself without malice, Greg. I say
Right.
he was, we had the team from Brad without any malice.
Now, when I said on many a platform, we did not have to do no port of magic, because all that money and more could have been made from Brad Bolido. He's talking about sweetheart deal. You heard what he's trying to do. No, I will leave that up for you guys to discuss. I have let it out the bag. Let's have the discussion. I will stay silent.
Thank you, Greg, for presenting that. Something that we have been talking about all along, and we see it comes out of his mouth,
Liar, liar, liar.
So, that left up to the Belizean people to decide, the type of person that we are dealing with, and come to your own conclusion. But let's hear from Ms. Spitz.
Well, you mentioned a couple things with respect to firstly the BPOs, or these called processing center. I have, and with respect to Portico or these type developments, I have a view, patrimony, people, and Belize first. We did not give up colonialism to become subjects and servitudes of corporate colonialism.
Mm-hmm.
I recall hearing that men, leaders, who in that respect I would refer to as statesmen, like Pindling, was able to say, with respect to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, that we, when in reference to tourism and development in his country, we are not developing a nation of waiters and wait staff and waitresses. And it's not that he was not seeing anything but negative with respect to tourism. I think he was making a clear call and a clear stance and position that when developers go to the Bahamas, they must understand that they will go there and the Bahamas know what they have. I think one of my, sometimes people say, one of my Bahamian friends said, you can tell any developer, you do not bring sand to the beach. Look at Key Chapel, what was being said that, oh, in the world and 20 hours away. This thing is a part of our patrimony. Better than that, Key Chapel was a cocal, the coconut plantation, a part of the legacy
Isaiah
under
Martha.
Isaiah Martha. Sir Isaiah Martha, trust will trust, of which anybody can get the archive pages unless the rich then destroy it.
Bequeathed
Okay?
to Belize.
Yes.
Bequeathed to Belize. I don't know how come a foreigner own it now.
Okay, good. So then a couple decades or a decade ago, certain prominent people were in a boat at Kikaka and being told they couldn't get off.
Yeah.
When we know that we have a right of way, we don't have private islands in Belize. The other thing is with Kikaka, they have boats going from Bridgefoot, but they have dogs on Kikaka shores. My people saying and condescending that they will not get into tours and so on, it's just like patting a simpleton on the shoulder and talking down to our people and saying, you know what, we could get them leave crumbs off the table, because we will have a facility of 80 high-end villas. And guess what one of the parcel of land costs before the villas? And of course they will have everything. So that is one thing. Jump now to, and that can go on, jump now to Bolido, or jump to the call processing center. How is it on earth that you will try to dismantle Belize Technical College, and after having pulled back out of or allowed some kind of semblance of return to sanity, to have the IT vet, Mr. Brackett, you were saying, you have people, remember you had the guilds and the trades and so on, technical produced doctors, top doctors, scientists,
I am a product of
climatologists,
technical.
etc., economists, international standard. The standard that technical produced was not excellence, Belize standard, it was world-class excellence.
I am a product of technical college, and without technical, I would never have been here sitting in front of you guys today.
Two more minutes there, Ms. Spitz.
I want to say that
2 more minutes.
My quick thing in this 1 minute then is that call center workers, be wise, unionize. How is it that people will be trained now to get entry-level job to call centers? Belizean literature, you don't need no special training for that. Thank you. You come out of standard 6, you're supposed to be able to work there with the old school Belizean manners. Then people not bring sand to the beach and know what they have. But are you telling our people that that must be the only avenue? Why don't you tell our people? Why don't you at IT Vet and University of Belize and SJC in the business classes tell the students and the young Belizean entrepreneurs a call center is not hard to set up and manage? Why doesn't the government say, you know what, we will help to have the trade fairs and the bell trades so that our people are trained in entrepreneurship? And as well, it's like take so in factory 700 women we could have prepare piecework. Even had Wednesday night and Miss Scissors night colloquially at the disco. If 700 Belize women could get on, supervise one another, work on another to that degree, and then you allow that company to go to somewhere else when we could an industry, a textile and an export industry, enough people here, enough offices, tourism, sewing, uniforms, government, textile, government, curtains, linen at hospital, etc., etc. When the leaders lack vision, our people perish. But Belizeans cannot perish because the grace of God is with us. But if the leaders slip down, people have to help them up and say, you know what? There's a better way, there's a vision. There's something that the 2020 foresight is there. If you
I
know
don't want
what
the time run
copycat,
out
no
for me, but I
copycat from the
want to
gun scene
contribute
at
a
the
little bit,
square
if you
because
don't mind,
in
no?
the corner
You
and
get your
where
turn
the
there,
gun stuck
Leonard.
and
Yeah, go ahead.
everybody man get
The
the
time is running
duckhead
out.
with
Your
the
turn, yeah,
tough
yeah.
guns get
Yeah.
copycat and follow
We're up
up
against the
something
time.
better. Look to see
Thank
how
you.
other countries and other people have been able to say opportunity is coming. This is for our people. I don't know how to say it other than that. Pray for
Well,
Belize.
well said there, Miss Pitts. Thank you very much for well said and point taken. Go ahead, Leonard. Go ahead, Leonard. You
Uh,
have 4 minutes.
yes, sir. Um, we only have 9 minutes left for the rest of the program, you know.
You got
So
4 minutes. Yeah, go
I'll,
ahead. Take your 4 minutes.
I'll
Let's
try.
go.
I'll try and take three. I'll take three
Oh,
so
no,
Greg
take
would have at
four.
least three. No, man, no, I don't want.
All right, all
So,
right.
um,
Then
in the
go
first
ahead.
place, I don't have a problem if our government was to be honest and upfront with trying to help our country and its people to move forward and to earn a living any which way they can. And for government to try and facilitate getting with business people, whether from at home or abroad, and bringing some additional capacity to earning power for our Belizean people. I have a problem where our government is going to take the powers of our governance that we delegate to them to manage on our behalf and use it on behalf of cronies and other people who just come and exploit and take out all the wealth from the country. Because what the good gentleman spoke about earlier, the young man that was talking about Key Chapel and their facilities out there, what he was saying is that a few hours away from the United States, in this hemisphere, Belize is like a hidden gem. And they can get a lot of money out of marketing Belize to people out here in the States and other parts of the world. For example, when they don't want people to go on that island, you see how pretty that island look and the beaches, the nice lily white beaches? Do you know where that material for that beach came from? Key Chapel wasn't that big originally. That material came, it was mined out of our very seabed adjacent to Key Chapel. And they expanded Key Chapel. They put in the seawall for Key Chapel to hold in the island proper. And then they built up above those seawalls and beyond the seawalls so that underneath where you see all that lot of white sand, that white sand, they dig it out of the sea, like I said, and out of the areas there adjacent, and they raised up the level of that island to where it is today. So those people took our own raw material for free and developed and built their thing now that they can turn around and sell their housing that they're going to build out there for literally millions of dollars to retired bigwigs out here. In fact, they're going to spend $200 million just to put the place the way they want it to look. How much billions do you think they're going to make when they finish put it together like that? And not just today or tomorrow or next year or the following 5 or 10 years. For eternity, they're going to be making all kind of gravy for that project. Billions on top of billions on top of billions. That's the same thing they're going to try and do with Portico. That's the same thing Mr. Feinstein was trying to do. That's the same thing that the shipping people them down south, the cruise people them down south was doing. And the same thing Mr. Ashcroft was trying to do. Each of these entities see the possibility of making billions of dollars out of those projects.
Excuse me, Mr.
Who work
Brackett.
on those projects?
Excuse me,
just
for no miss.
No black Belizeans.
Why they try to wrap my head wrong? And what has I not just flummoxed, my moxes flummed, as one writer used to put. Why you need to pass one law, one statute, one act of parliament to a private company? I just don't understand that.
The worst offending part is that law. The worst part is that law forbids any future government.
Let me minutes left there, Leonard. So let's give Greg 2 minutes, and I'll take 2 minutes.
The government is trying to run away from what is in our constitution, which is open tenure, where foreign investors supposed to come in. They bring their proposal, and when they put it together, they're supposed to have it open where it hire Belizeans and Belizean work. As you heard the Prime Minister mention that it will create jobs and all that is hocus pocus. Every time they use that, and there is no jobs for Belizeans. So that's why he's pushing this legislation, because he's trying to protect it so that no future government can go after them for the wrong. Especially in Mr. Shineborough, who said if he becomes a prime minister, he will stop it. That's why he's making it retroactive to protect it.
He can't do it either.
Okay?
He wants to.
That is what is happening.
He can't, because the Constitution does not allow it.
Thank you, Greg. Again, I want to thank you guys, and it's a pleasure to be in your company. And again, I want to thank you, Ms. Spitz, for being here, supporting us, and sharing your views, and speaking truth to the nation. And thank you, Leonard, and to our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad. I want to always thank you for your support, because just want to let you guys know that we have a couple of thousands of viewers, right, that tune into us, and because we bring truth, and we bring out things that other people do not talk about, but we bring out things that directly affect our Belizean people and affect our nation, right? It's very educational, and like I say, I always thank Ms. Spitz for bringing her expertise, her knowledge, and her contribution, and also Leonard and Gregory. On that note, we always try to.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Chairman, if I may say it,
Go ahead.
I really want to put this out there to the Belizean people at home and abroad, because I get offended when I see a prime minister talking about Belizean don't have talent. If such be the case, because you are unable to create long-term jobs, what will happen if our educated kids or students go abroad, pick up a field, and come back and can't get a job in that field? Does that mean they would have to go to the IT vet and train to work for a BPO? It makes no sense to me. So I put this solely and the Prime Minister and the Minister of Education, who is preaching about kids staying in school when they are not providing the necessary jobs to keep these kids at work when they are completed. And I thank you for that few minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll take this last minute to say my take on that is that I thought that the BPO had their own training program. I had the BPO was set up to take care of all that within themselves. I didn't know that it was going to pass down to the Belizean taxpayers, right? But that's another discussion, right? And I want you guys to know that when these kids go to the ITV, they got to pay for these subjects. I mean, for these classes, right? It's not offered free by the government as to what the Prime Minister would always led you to believe that education is free, which is not, right? These kids will have to pay for these pay to go to learn to get educated so that they could be employed at the BPO, when it shouldn't be that way, and it never had been that way that I knew, right? But this guy, he trumped up some some weird situation, and just keep lying to the Belizean people, and I call on him to please start at one point, start to be truthful to the nation, right? And stop hiding, right? Because most Belizeans are smart people. It's not like what he says, Belizeans are dumb and stupid and all kinds of names he called Belizean, right? I could prove him wrong. So he need to start to be truthful to the Belizean people. And on that note, again, I want to thank you and thank
Mr. Chairman.
you guys.
With that said, here's our closing out music.
Girl Marlin,
What happened?
that was really the go on, man. Everywhere I go, I see different dance group. They jump up and party in the street. Then they practice for something.
Why? You don't know then?
And then watch over there. I see that they hang up red, white, and blue banners on the lamppost now. Oh, and what's the neighbors? They put up Belizean flags on the house. They paint things red, white, and blue. That was really the go on, man.
Make I tell you.
Tell me.
Listen, September time done they come, and the gravel season just done. It's celebration time for broke down and wine. Everybody come to have fun. All the people they gather around, and the mango they drop on the ground. I got me tablet of pepitos and punch we eat when me rice and beans done. Oh, it's a Belizean thing. Oh, it's a Belizean thing. No matter where you go, you Creole in a yo. It's a Belizean thing. It's a Belizean thing. Oh, it's a Belizean thing. Give the fame and the glory we give with this country. It's a Belizean thing.
Oh yes, that's the go on. September the year. And I feel the vibes. Ready?
That is so beautiful. And I want to say I saw Miss Vansen perform at Government House of Culture 10 September morning after the crowning of the Queen of the Bay preceding the 10th parade. Miss Vansen is an MS person and a personality. Strong example of somebody. And look at the melody. Sorry to interrupt, but that was a treat. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
We're running the background then. We're going to finish up in the background.